My entire pregnancy, 100% labour and birth, would have been completely different if I hadn't been well versed in the breathing techniques that I should be doing and actually put them into practice during my pregnancy so that they were really easy for me to do in labour and birth. And it led me to being 1 to 2 centimetres to delivering my baby boy in like less than 4.5 hours. And actually an hour and a half of that, I was asleep. Hello you, my name's Angie. I am a breathwork coach and yoga teacher, meditation teacher, but specifically started with breathwork coach there because I want to share with you breathing techniques that I really implemented and that made such a significant difference to my pregnancy. And there are 5 that I really want you to keep in mind if you're on this journey, because they scientifically help you. As much as they kind of make you feel more in the zone and like connected spiritually and connected with your baby or babies if you're having multiples, they scientifically work, and I'm just so excited to share this with you. So let's start number 1 with the first technique that I really started doing while I was pregnant. I've been doing this my entire life, but I really honed in on it while I was pregnant. And this is the practice of chanting. Now, before you think this is a little bit woo-woo for me, I'm not into chanting, I'm not religious, stay with me. It's okay if you're not any of those things. Chanting can be done without any religion involved, without any mantras. You don't have to do it. For me, I'm Hindu and I was raised with chanting these sacred mantras. There is a real benefit because there is a beauty in the Sanskrit language. The way the Sanskrit language is put together, it's really scientific and it's sound-based and it creates these healing changes in your body. So for me, chanting mantras was a really big part of my pregnancy. It calmed me because chanting does calm us. It soothes the vagus nerve. It calms our whole body. It tells us that we're safe. But one thing that I do, and I have a class on this on my membership platform, Unearthed, I say chant the vowels. A-E-I-O-U. A-E-I-O-U. Perfect. And you're still going to get the benefits. It's those longer exhales that we're taking that will calm us down, tap away from that fight or flight, high cortisol, high adrenaline, which we know slows down, stalls, and can even completely stop your labor from progressing. And you're tuning into the parasympathetic nervous system, telling the body it's safe, telling the body that it's okay, and that things are way more likely to progress positively if you're in that state and your nervous system is regulated instead of being in that high adrenaline state. You want to be connecting in with oxytocin, that love hormone, to move the progress along as opposed to have it stop. But also in your pregnancy, you may experience moments of anxiety. You might feel a little bit nervous about what's coming. You might feel uncomfortable with your body changing, or you might just feel quite overwhelmed with all the changes that are happening in your body. I had a whole load of symptoms in pregnancy, from nighttime nosebleeds in the middle of the night, waking up having a nosebleed, and I'd never had a nosebleed before in my entire life, to my gums bleeding, like really bleeding. Middle of the day, I'd be on a walk and my gums would start bleeding. So there's a lot of change that's happening, and some things can feel quite overwhelming. And doing your chanting, whether it's chanting the vowels or chanting an ancient sacred mantra, if that is more in tune with what you want to do and more in alignment with what you want to do, is going to really help you feel calm during the pregnancy. And that has an impact on the baby, and that has an impact on every stage of pregnancy. You know, we look at pregnancy not being linked to labor or not being linked to birth. It absolutely is. And it's also linked to what happens postnatally. So the first one is chanting. Get it in however you'd like to get it in, and really find enjoyment in that beautiful practice. Do it with your eyes open, do it with your eyes closed. Eyes closed, I feel like you go into it a bit more. In terms of duration of how long to do it, as long as works for you. This is one of the biggest questions I get asked actually by my clients. How long do I do this breathing technique for? How long do I do this yoga pose for? Do you know what? Forget about the duration and think more about getting it done. And you know your schedule way better than I do. I'm not going to tell you you've got to do it for 20 minutes every day. You've got to do it for 3 minutes every day. I want you to think, how do I make this actually become a habit that I implement? And then get it done, get it in, you know, whenever you can. I always say build it around habits you already have. So with the chanting, for example, you could wake up first thing in the morning and take a moment and do it then. And then before you go to bed, take a moment and do it then. We're looking at doing some movement, like for example, hip circles, really beneficial as well for getting that movement in, for encouraging the baby to move downward when you're in labor or when you're close towards that in your third trimester. Hip circles when you're brushing your teeth, morning and evening, you won't forget it. And actually I do it now, postnatally, I'm still doing that. So think about pockets that you could fit it in as opposed to the amount of time and being really regimented on that. The second breathing technique is actually quite similar to the first, and that's why I'm putting it now, and that is humming. There is a beautiful ancient technique known as Brahmari, translates as the black Indian buzzing bee, and it's a humming breath. And again, we have loads of studies that show how this settles our nervous system, calms us down, makes us feel safe, makes us feel in control, and it actually also creates 15 times the amount of nitric oxide compared to breathing normally in and out through your nose. And nitric oxide is an incredible thing that helps vasodilation, so it helps everything open up, the blood vessels open up, things get moving, and that's what we need, especially when we're towards our labor and in our birth. We want to get things going. But also, when you're in your pregnancy, it has an impact on your birth outcomes. There was an incredible study, I'm going to try and find it and link it below for you, of group A and group B of pregnant women who did this technique. So group A did it every day for 5 minutes, group B didn't do it at all, and group A had incredible benefits in terms of a much shorter labor time, and I definitely experienced that. Loads of other benefits, and it really benefits your baby to be in this calm state. So doing your humming, I personally did it every single day throughout my entire pregnancy for 5 to 10 minutes. I would do this in bed, morning and evening. I would close my eyes, I'd look at the clock, close my eyes and do it, and then I'd open my eyes, and it would maybe have been like 7 minutes, and then I'd take it to 10, or if it was about 5, maybe I would stop. But I was really religious with doing this, and it just made me feel good. And if anything, it helps you fall asleep quicker. So if you're someone that has a racing mind before you go to bed and you're struggling to sleep, do this before you go to bed. Regardless whether you're pregnant or not, send this on to someone who just has insomnia and needs to calm themselves down and self-soothe. Then it's a really good one to self-soothe and take yourself into this nice dreamy state so you can drift off, sleep well, sleep deeply, and sleep for a longer period of time. Number 3 is taking a longer, deeper exhalation. Now this is similar to what we're doing when we're chanting and we're humming, because you take a shorter inhale and then a longer breath out. That exhale is longer, but specifically focusing on inhaling for maybe 3 counts, and then a long, deep exhale for maybe 6 or 7 counts. When you practice this, you realize that actually your lung capacity increases. What I mean by that is maybe the first time you do it, you can breathe in for 3 and it feels like quite a push. You can't really breathe in for much more, and you can only breathe out for like 4 or 5 counts. The longer that you practice this, you'll notice that actually that inhale can be a little bit longer, and so can the exhale. So then you can maybe just start shifting it to, okay, let me breathe in for the count of 4 and let me breathe out for the count of 8. But whatever you're doing here, the exhale is always longer. Think about that first number and double it. Or once you've doubled it and you feel you can exhale for longer, you could inhale for 4 and exhale for maybe 10 or 12, depending on how it feels for you. Take your time. I want you to really incorporate this again during your pregnancy, especially when you feel any sense of panic, any sense of freak out, any sense of overwhelm, or even if you feel fine and you're like, I feel great, I feel calm, I feel confident, I feel positive, amazing, empowering, but still do it. Still get used to getting in control of your breath. Because when you are going through the process of labor and birth, you will have, your body knows what to do. So your body is going to take over, okay? You have the option as to resist, hold your breath, squeeze, tighten, stress, no, or to go with it. And breathing through it is exactly what I did to birth my baby in such a short process of time, but also genuinely no panic. At no point did I experience or feel any panic. I was completely calm and confident throughout my entire labor and birth because I knew that my body knew what it was doing. I knew how to breathe through it, and I knew to surrender to anything that came up and to allow myself to go with it as opposed to create any resistance. And surrender was my biggest word in pregnancy. My first trimester, especially when I was being sick every day, you just have to surrender. Your body's just doing things that you can't compute mentally. You can't consciously understand. You're not telling your body, grow a limb, grow the fingernail, grow an organ. It's just doing it. And it will do exactly the same in labor and birth because that's how incredible your body is. So use those long, slow exhales in your pregnancy to calm yourself, or even if you're calm, still use it so you get in control of your breath and you're working on increasing your lung capacity now so that you're ready for that next stage of your journey. The fourth one is a horse's breath, and this is really all about fluttering the lips. It's a really nice way to relax any stress and tension you're holding in your jaw. Again, like I said, there's resistance that comes up. There's this urge to maybe kind of hold back. The more you go with it, the quicker everything will go, the more safe you'll feel. Opening that mouth, fluttering those lips, and relaxing that tension that you might be feeling in the jaw, even if you're not feeling tension in the jaw, encouraging that horse, that fluttery breath is going to help keep it nice and loose. And there are lots of people that say as well there's a connection, and I totally believe it, between the mouth, that opening, and you're opening down there, and your cervix, and opening up your mouth can also create that opening and looseness down there so everything can flow really nice and smoothly. And the fifth and final technique is a short, sharp breath. And this is specifically for the process of birth. I didn't use this at all in my pregnancy. I didn't use this at all in my labor. I used this when I could feel my baby boy's head coming down. And that is because I knew that the likelihood of tearing, if you're kind of urging and pushing and not in control of your breath at all, is much, much higher. A third or a fourth degree tear can be really, really traumatic, but also it creates a lengthier healing process. Now, this technique is not going to stop you from tearing. And let me tell you, I did have a second degree tear. It's very common for first-time mums to have a first or second degree tear. It's absolutely fine. However, what I would say is my healing was very, very fast. I would say the first week or so postpartum, I was definitely moving slower. I was a little bit sore, but not nearly as sore as I thought I would be. It was completely manageable. And then by the second week, I felt honestly back to myself. Now, I really put this down to all the yoga that I did during my pregnancy. A lot of yoga, a lot of breathing techniques, a lot of meditation, but a lot of movement. I kept really, really mobile right up until I had my baby. And actually most of my labor, I was very mobile. I was on all fours a lot of the time. It was very primal. It was really the biggest yoga session of my life. So keeping mobile and flexible, I really believe helps with that postpartum healing. But yeah, 2 weeks after, I felt absolutely fine again in my body. I really, really did. So even if you do experience a tear, or if you're scared of experiencing a tear, I promise you, it doesn't have to be kind of an 8-week recovery time. Obviously, every single person is different, so don't quote me on that. It does depend on your individual circumstance, the degree of your tear, and what your healing looks like. But it doesn't have to be that way, right? I want to also share that it could heal a lot quicker than you think, depending on your individual circumstance. But I got onto that because, yeah, doing the shorter, sharper breath is a really nice way to kind of slow it down in that time where the head is coming out. So short and sharp, but still you're in control of it. It's not a hyperventilation because your body's not taken over to hyperventilate. You're in control of making that change to your breath. So those are the 5 breathing techniques that helped me have my fast, safe, powerful, positive labor. If you want to learn more about my birth story, I've linked it up here. And if you want to learn more about my breastfeeding journey and all the things I did to prepare for having my first baby, then make sure that you check out the pregnancy and postnatal and baby life playlist. If you have any questions, or if there are any breathing techniques that you did that really helped you, then pop them in the comments, because I think it'd be great for other people to learn from you and see what worked best for you. We are all different. If you got value out of this video, then make sure that you subscribe and like. It makes a huge difference. If also you're interested in pregnancy yoga, loads of pregnancy yoga classes from when I was pregnant over on my membership platform Unearthed. You get 50% off with the code YouTube. So you can sign up. There's over 300 classes, all led by South Asian teachers. So you can really learn from the people who come from the culture from where yoga originated. Movement, meditation, breath, philosophy, whole load of classes on there. Thank you so much for taking your time to listen, and I can't wait to see you again very soon. Bye.